Welcome back to Crypto Front. This is the front line where we are fighting for financial freedom. Let me go ahead and show you a portfolio in which you could potentially turn $1,000 into $25,000 at the bare minimum. I definitely think that these price targets are actually very much conservative. I'll show you even the best case scenarios as well, right? So of course, I've gone on to line up a few tokens here, 5 of them to be specific, and then there is of course one that is a bonus. So probably, as you can already see, all these tokens are within the Sweed ecosystem. And the reason why that's the case is because Sweed has actually been killing it time and again. And I think that at this point, everybody in this market has agreed that Sweed could potentially be a Solana killer. So right out of the gates, I want you guys to understand the power of narrative in this market. Once you have the narrative that Sweed is a Solana killer and everybody is talking about it, what is going to happen is that the price will continue pumping towards the upside. When the price pumps, it invites more people, which increase demand, and then the price will pump once again. So really, it's a gift that keeps giving, and this is exactly what you're going to be seeing with Sweed, especially if more and more bigger influencers keep talking about it. Now, you may not like the game, but this exactly is how the game is played in crypto, right? So embrace it. If you don't want it, of course, you can stay away, right? You can go with another chain that has a different narrative altogether. So I was just running some numbers in here, and you can see I'm comparing the market cap of Sweed versus the market cap of Solana at its all-time high. And it's very clear that Sweed, if it is to be competitive with Solana, at least catching up to the previous all-time high of Solana, you need something like a 17x. That's great, but obviously let's drop our expectations a little bit and probably compare with Solana right at this point. And still, you see that there is again something like a 12x that Sweed can do just to catch up with Solana right at this point. And mind you, Solana has actually dropped a lot ever since its top, I think back then in March or something like that. So I think this is a little bit much more realistic. But let's even drop our expectations a little bit further, right, and say, okay, a 10x for Sweed. Now, that's actually something that is very, very good, because I'll show you that we're not only looking at Sweed right now. Remember, we are looking within the Sweed ecosystem, trying to find the best gems in there that can actually outperform Sweed. So imagine if you can outperform a 10x. I think you're doing a fantastic job. So let me go ahead and show you these potential gems that we are talking about within the Sweed ecosystem. And I'll start with one that is very much obvious here. This is Swissswap. So Swissswap Protocol basically is a decentralized exchange that is built on the Solana blockchain. And we know that previously decentralized exchanges on big chains have actually done superb. So basically think about it like this. What is the most popular DEX that is on Solana, right? I mean, two come to mind. Number one is Jupiter. The second one is Radium. Let's compare Swissswap to Radium. And at the previous all-time high of Radium, you will realize that for Swissswap to go ahead and do what Radium did, it actually has a 21x potential growth, right? But what about Jupiter? Now with Jupiter, the story actually gets a little bit much more interesting, because we see that right where Jupiter is sitting at this point, Swissswap can do something like an 18x. But at the previous all-time high of Jupiter, you see that you have here a potential 45x that would be coming from Swissswap. I think this is a fantastic opportunity. But obviously, we don't want to be too bullish. We don't want to be obviously too conservative. So we were seeing that was a 20x from Radium. And then here with Jupiter, we are seeing 45x. So let's find something that is in between then. And maybe let's go for something like a 25x in terms of growth for Swissswap. Now, the reason I'm going for a 25x also is that the market cap is already at $53 million. And, really, yeah, there is still a chance, but obviously not as great as the other ones that I'm going to be showing you about at this point. So yeah, so coming back to our race here, we can just go ahead and put Swissswap right around 25x here. The next big opportunity is a Navi Protocol or Navi Protocol. Really, I don't know how it's pronounced. Really doesn't matter. All we want is to turn $1,000 into $25,000. That's exactly what we are going to be doing. Now, Navi Protocol is the biggest, I think, lending protocol that is on Sweed. And I mean, take a look at this sort of value logged in, about $500 million. But if you take a look at the market cap of Navi Protocol, you actually realize that it's only $35 million, but it has $500 million that is logged in TVL. That's something, I mean, it's really beating above its weight. And because of this, I think there is an opportunity in here. So $35 million in terms of its market cap, can we actually get something like a 50x from here? Yeah, probably it's something that is very much possible. But let's go ahead and do the math here. So if you say 35 million, right? Let's go here, $35 million. Is that okay? Yeah, $35 million multiplied by 50. You are looking at something like $1.75 billion. I think this is something that is very much achievable as a lending protocol, the biggest on Sweed. Remember this, at the peak of the bull cycle, things really go crazy. especially these DeFi platforms like lending protocols, staking protocols, things like decentralized exchanges. So a 50x is something that I see very, very much possible for Navi Protocol. The problem only that I have here is maybe the vesting schedule that obviously will be diluting the tokens and stuff like that. But then again, this is all going to be depending on the kind of demand that we will see in the market at that point. Right now, we have about 275 million tokens that are circulating. And by the time we get to something like March 2025, which I think is around where usually we see the market peaking, we will now be having something like 458 million tokens circulating at that point. And I think this is too much of an inflation. I mean, 458 million against the current 275. Let's go ahead and do the math right there. For 458 million divided by 275, you see that we have got an inflation rate of about 66%. So this is not too good. But then again, remember I said it will all depend on the demand at that point. So maybe the demand will go like by 25x, right, which is like way much more than the 66% inflation that we are going to be experiencing between now and then, and still you'll see growth in the price. But obviously that inflation is not something that I can ignore, and because of that, from a 50x I will be lowering my expectations again to drop by half, maybe to something like 25x. So Navi Protocol will raise and reach something like a 25x in here, and that will also be something that is great. Potentially it would have actually gone all the way to do a 50x here, but again, the inflation just too much right there. Let's go to the next gem, and that is Scallop, which is another lending protocol on the Sweed ecosystem. Again, this one has almost the same problems with Navi Protocol because of the inflation and stuff like that. But I think that the inflation here is slightly much better, because take a look at this. Again, we are saying that between now and the next 6 months, we could actually have a bull cycle that is going to be whipping. By around April, we have 97 million tokens circulating. Right at this point, we have 71. So that is what, about a 35% in terms of like the inflation. Let's go ahead and do the math so that I don't say something that is not correct here. So 97 divided by the current 72 million, we are looking at a 35% in terms of the inflation. Again, if the demand for the Scallop token goes on to increase by 20x, this 35% in terms of the inflation is going to be negligible. Now, also taking into consideration the market cap, which is right around $46 million, I think that the fair value for Scallop will be right around something like a 20x here. So let's place it nice and easy. Let's move on to the next gem. And I think this one's actually now getting much more exciting. So let's continue with Swissswap. Now, one thing that I love about Swissswap is that it has got a very tiny market cap, right around $7 million. And on top of that, no inflation at all, only 10 billion in terms of like the circulating supply and also the maximum supply basically. So there is like a very good growth cap that can come from this, and the name itself actually speaks volumes, right? Everybody will be recognizing that, you know what, this actually is coming from the Sweed blockchain, which will be the hottest thing at that point, right? And of course, I think it will remind people of something like a Pancake Swap, Uniswap, or, you know, Beggar Swap, those kind of things, which were very hot in something like 2021. But then again, with a market cap of about $7 million, I think it can easily do something like a 50x here, because you only need something like $350 million in terms of its market cap, right? So yeah, definitely Swissswap goes all the way, overtakes all these other ones, and it can literally go ahead into the 50x zone here. But obviously the risk also starts to rise as you get into tiny and tinier market caps. Now, there's also another narrative within the Sweed ecosystem, and that has to do with launchpads. Just remember, whenever like these chains are growing, projects are gonna have to start to build on them, and some new projects will definitely need a launchpad. This is where we are getting our next gem from, and this is Sweepad. I really like this one. Its narrative is very much easier to understand. On top of that, the inflation is relatively lower compared to the other ones that I was talking about. So here, take a look at this. Right now, we have about 72 million tokens that are circulating. But by the time we get to, you know, March, April next year, which is the usual time that we expect like bull runs to be completing, we are looking at 78 million tokens, right? So that's 78 millions compared to the 72 that we have right at this point. And I think that is an inflation rate of about 8.3% only. So that is something that is great. On top of that, you have a very tiny market cap at $10 million only. Now, for you to do a 50x with current prices, you have to go ahead and achieve something like $500 million in terms of market cap. I think it's something that is very much possible, but again, we don't want to be too bullish, we don't want to be too conservative, so we're going to go with something that is in between. So here with Sweepad, we can go ahead and put it right around the 35x zone. Again, look, we want to look for something that is in between. We can see that, yeah, potentially a 50x is possible. But what if the Sweed narrative is not all that great, right? And maybe it fizzles out before everybody knows anything, right? So this is the play with Sweed. So these are the top 5 that I'm picking from this ecosystem, but I'm going to be giving you guys one more that is a bonus, and obviously it has to do with a launchpad as well, and this is Sweed, right? So the first one was Sweed, the second one is Sweed, and very tiny market cap. Let me show you quickly. Now Sweed at this point only has 3 million in terms of market cap. That's too good, right? Very, very good. Again, let's quickly take a look at the inflation. Is there any big unlocks that we can be expecting in the future, right? I mean, at least in the next 6 months that we are anticipating a bull cycle. Let's say here maybe around March, April. Let's go with April. We'll be having 66 million tokens circulating. But at this point, we have 54 or 55. So 66 against that 55. Let's see how much that is in terms of percentages. Is that 55? Yeah, it's 55. So we are looking at something like 20% in terms of its inflation. Again, if the demand really grows so fast, this 20% inflation is going to be obliterated. It's nothing actually. Now, one more advantage that Sweed has is if you take a look at the exchanges in which it's listed right at this point, you only have one. That's Maxi. Like, I mean, not even Gate.io, not even KuCoin, not even what, not even, I mean, like, see, there is massive upside to this one. But again, the risk is also too much. Only 3 million in terms of its market cap. If you are willing to bet for it, then of course you can go for it. So I think Sweed is one of those that can do a 50x as well. Now a 50x will be meaning that it has a market cap of around $150 million. I think that's not too big, to be honest with you. So let's go ahead and run the numbers. We said we have got $1,000 that we are putting into the ecosystem of Sui, and here Scallop, and let's divide it into 5, meaning that we are putting $200 for each and every single of these tokens there, right? So let's start here with Cetus and Navi Protocol. Basically, this is 25x, meaning that you have got 200 plus 200, that's $400 that you probably are going to be turning into, you know, 25x. So that's becomes 10,000, right? Then of course we have got Scallop. Now Scallop with the 20x return means that you'll probably be getting something like $4,000 right there. So right at this point we are at 14,000. Now we also have got Sweed at 35x multiplied by 200. That will be bringing in something like 7,000. Let's go ahead and do that. We are now at $21,000. Then lastly we have got either Sweed or Swissswap with a 50x, and that will mean that it's another 10,000 that comes from there, totaling something like $31,000. Again, I wanted to show you that this is actually way much more than the 25,000 that I'm anticipating. So I'm trying to be as conservative as possible. Again, you hear some people saying that I'm delusional and this and that, but I try to show you my school of thought, right, and how exactly these things have worked out in the past. So yeah, that's exactly where we are with the Sweed ecosystem. I also wanted to remind you guys of the event that our partners over there at BingX have provided for our community, something like $5,450, and on top of that 300-ton tokens that could be won if you go ahead and participate in their events. All the links will be down there in the description, and we only have 22 days left before they close this event, so go ahead and take advantage. They also have got another activity here which really has got a fantastic concept to it, and if you go ahead and deposit a certain amount of money or something like that, you will be gaining and winning vouchers, and you can be making use of these vouchers to go ahead and offset your losses. For instance, you have participated in this event and you have acquired something like $100 voucher, and in a certain trade you also lost $100. You can now be using that voucher to redeem and offset your loss like that. I think it's something that is obviously great. Let me also invite you to cf2kit.com. cf2kit.com, this is where you will be able to access the toolkit that I prepared for you all summer, so that at least you are no longer part of the 90 to 95% of the investors or traders in this market that keep losing money each and every single day. It's time to turn the page. Go ahead and check it out, and you will be an independent and successful trader for that matter. All right, with that being said, just remember, none of what I say is financial advice, and you shouldn't be buying or selling anything because of anything that I say. All right, other than that, I'll see you on the next one. Take good care of yourselves. Bye bye.